the next step in this is to get the coils rolled out and attached to our project. Sorry, I'm like trying to bend down to fit into this frame. And what you're going to need is all of your little pieces of scrap clay that we cut up and put in here. Okay? So take out the ones for this project that you cut from your slab. Do not use the ones from our first project because they are old and dry and they are not gonna work for this. So get your little scrap pieces out. You can use a fork, you can use your wooden skewer, you can use your little paper clip. Get all three of those out. You might want to see which one you like best, but we are going to have to score every single coil that we use so that way it will attach to our wall hanging. Okay? All right, what else do we need with slipping and scoring? We need slip. So in your brown bag, the one that came with the underglaze, that should be where your slip is. Open that up and see how your slip is looking. You can stir it up with your finger or you can use one of your tools. Mine is looking pretty chunky. Like that. That's good, it's not dry, but I'm gonna add some more water. It's just not runny enough for me. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more water and stir that up so I have a nice slip consistency. Slip is something you definitely have to maintain. You're gonna have to keep adding water, taking water. Well, you don't need to take water out, but you're gonna have to keep adding water, adding dry pieces of clay the more you use it. And now I'm just stirring it up to try and get it all one consistency. Now I'm gonna clean this off in my little bowl right here and dry it off. So keep the wood dry. It doesn't do great if it stays wet, but this is the consistency now. The consistency of slip is up to you. I've seen people use a lot wetter than this. This is about how I like to use it. Okay. All right, so the first thing that we are gonna do is roll a coil. We all had a roll coil for our first project to attach a foot to it. However, just in case some people were not here, we are going to roll another one. I'm gonna grab a new piece of clay to show how to roll a coil. So we started pulling from one of these blocks for our last project. So we're gonna pull from that one again. Don't pull from the good block, pull from the smaller one. Remember, that's why maybe if I can get it undone, that's why we attached the paper clips together with this string so we could give it a nice cut. So, sorry, I'm not prepared. So we have the paper clip on two ends and this string in the middle, this fishing line in the middle. I'm gonna wrap it up and get a nice tight grip on it like floss. And then I'm gonna cut straight down to get a nice block off. And then you get a nice little cut like that. I'm gonna put this big chunk back in here because remember, we wanna preserve as much clay as we can to do one more project before the semester's over, get all the air out. And remember, please remember to fold this back up and clip it. Okay. I'm gonna cut this one more time down the middle. Like that. Okay. Now you have this little rectangular block of clay, and what I'm gonna do is squeeze it in my hand. I'm just trying to round off those edges so it's not such a harsh rectangular shape, not such a harsh geometric shape. All right, now I have something that shaped. So what you're gonna do is just roll. So you're rolling up and through your palm and then back down through the fingertips, through the palm, through the fingertips, okay? That's really, really important to make sure that you roll right. Is go all the way through like that. Or here, let me do a side angle. So start here, all the way through to my palm, all the way back through my fingertips, all the way through, all the way back. And then you're just gonna start to add pressure to that so that way it gets thinner. A really common mistake is students just go like this, flop back and forth, like this, and then they get like a flat piece because they're not rolling all the way. And then I like to do it with two hands, so it's the exact same thing all the way through, all the way back, all the way through, all the way back. I also like to stand when rolling coils, so I might stand here in a second. Yeah, I'm gonna stand. And I started getting a flat one just from showing you guys how to get a flat one, so I'm just gonna kind of pinch it out. Okay. And that is how you roll your coil. And then as you're gonna start to get weak spots, okay? You need to leave those spots alone and move the clay in other directions. That's why my fingertips are going out. It's making it longer. And it's gonna get longer and longer, and that's totally fine. That's why you use your, sorry, it's really hard to do this on newspaper. You're gonna roll it out. And you use your fingers wider so it gets longer and thinner. Our wall hangings are pretty small, so we're gonna want some small coils. I'm gonna cut this off right here. That's where it started to get bad. And start to roll it out again. I'm leaving the center alone. The center's getting pretty thin, and I'm working on just the sides now, trying to get it even longer. Okay. Sorry, I hit my knee. Now you have a coil that you can start off with. So if you are unsure how to do that, maybe look up some videos on how to roll coil, have a video call with me. We can have a one-on-one on how to roll coil. Come in on a Tuesday, we could just practice rolling coils. But you're gonna want a pretty thin one unless you're doing something big, but we're all doing fairly small things. So the reason we did the outline is now I'm gonna map out where the beginning part of my coil is going to begin, okay? So, oops, I just broke that on accident, but that's fine. So, I'm going to start off with this outline right here, and I'm just gonna attach it and show you what I mean. I personally just like to use a wooden skewer to do my slipping and scoring. But what you're gonna do is start to score where you're gonna attach it, which is the outline. And scoring is just roughing up the clay. Remember that, guys. It's so important that you do this for every single coil that you do. And this is also why the drawing is not as important, because we are just getting rid of it. And it's okay if your score marks go over the outline. They're meant to be messy. And then I'm gonna measure this now, starting from where I need it, all the way over. And then I'm going to cut it. And now I'm going to score the bottom of my coil. You can use the paper clip, you can use the fork. As long as it has a pointy end, you can pretty much use it to score. So again, scoring is just roughing it up. You're going one way in lines, and then you're gonna intersect those lines another way. So vertical and horizontal lines, diagonal and diagonal lines. You're just trying to rough up the clay. It's essentially gonna be like Velcro and attach to itself. So coils dry out so quickly, especially when they're this thin. So make sure that you are attaching the coil if you rolled it out. All right. Now I have the back all rough, and I have the outline where I want to attach it all rough. The next step is to now add our slip. Again, I just do this with my hand. However, you guys also have paintbrushes in your bag for when we did our underglaze. And if you would prefer to not touch it, you can just take a paintbrush and go like this. You only need slip on one side. And I just like to use my hand, but you're more than welcome to use the paintbrush. You don't need slip on both sides. You only need it on either the coil or the base. And again, I'm not rubbing it on, because then I'm just gonna get rid of all those lines I just made. I'm dabbing it on. You're not applying a lot of pressure here yet. You're dabbing it on, you're not rubbing it on. Now I'm gonna attach this. You're gonna do rough side to rough side. And I'm just gonna try and follow the design. And then once you can move it around in place still. Make sure that it's the shape you want and matches up. So bend it and manipulate it however you want. Now that I have it in place, I'm gonna start smushing it down. Not like it's not gonna be completely flat, but you just want it to seal. And you have to apply pressure in order to get it to seal. So I'm pushing it down. It's gonna flatten it a little bit, that's okay. And if you see slip oozing out the sides like you can on mine, that's a good sign. That means that you are applying pressure and getting it sealed. However, look at how cracked this coil is now because it's so thin and we're manipulating it. What we're gonna do now is smooth it out. So smoothing it out, you can kind of do it whatever way that you find best. You can use a sponge if that's what you like to do because that'll rehydrate it. Again, I like to just use my hands. I think I have more control when I use my hands. So I'm just gonna use that. You can fill those holes with slip if they're really big. I might need it in some areas. Like this top part right here, there's a lot of cracks. So I'm gonna try and just stuff them with some slip. But I'm really just trying to smooth it out because this is gonna be the craftsmanship part. Another way you can do it is kind of like do a little pinching motion. This is gonna take a while just because you're gonna have so many coils on here, and that's fine. Do not rush this part. You're trying to make it look nice and pretty. You don't want those cracks in there. And make sure that it is attached fully because you don't want it to explode in the kiln. So I have the outside of my cactus attached now. What I would then do is start to fill it in elsewhere. So I'm gonna do one here, cut that off, one there, and then I'll probably do one in the middle right here like that. Okay, so that's what I mean by you're gonna fill in your symbol with coils. These are not attached. I did not slip and score these. Do not just add these on here and call it good, you're done. Once it dries, they will fall off because they are not attached. Okay, I'm just showing you, for example, how you're going to fill in your symbol with coils. You're gonna need to slip and score these on there to make it official, okay? So I'm gonna get these ones slipped and scored on just so you guys can see some more examples of slipping and scoring. Now I can't remember which way I had these. Okay. So, again, start scoring wherever you're gonna attach it. At this point, I'm just gonna score the whole inside because I have my pieces cut out and measured now. So I'm just gonna score this whole inside. That way I can just get it done and attached quicker. So I'm just roughing it up on all directions. And again, mine is really wet. You guys should not have yours being this wet because I'm just trying to get it all done in one day. It does not attach as well when it's this wet because your lines just blend together. All right, I'm gonna take my first piece. I scored the whole inside, right? Where I'm gonna attach it, which is right here. And now I'm gonna score the bottom of one of my pieces. So same thing. This is called scoring, roughing it all up. And again, these pieces dry out so quickly because they're little thin guys. So that side is scored now, right? That's the side that's scored. And I'm gonna attach it here. I'm gonna put slip on this side because I'm still needing to attach everywhere in here. And I'm just gonna dab it on. That's our clay glue, remember, it's just clay and water. And I'm gonna seal it on. And it's in place. I have it shaped how I want it, and now I'm gonna smush it down to really seal it. Now that's sealed on. And what I'm gonna do again is get my finger and start to blend out these cracks. You wanna blend them individually because if I were to wait, they would all blend together and I would lose them. And a cactus has these lines in them, so I want that. If you're doing something maybe like a basketball that's just round, you're probably gonna wanna smooth those lines in. I, however, do not. All right, next one. So again, I'm gonna score this side. I'm gonna attach or add slip, again, dabbing. I'm not smoothing and adding it out or adding pressure because I don't wanna get rid of my lines. And then I'm gonna measure it and get it in the right spot before I push down. All right, it's in place. Now I'm gonna smush it down to attach it. So you need to apply that pressure to get it to stick to itself. And then again, I'm gonna smooth out this line. I don't want these cracks in it. I want the lines in between the coils, but I don't want the cracking marks of the clay drying out, is what I mean by that. All right, now I got one last piece that goes in the middle here. I'm gonna figure out which way to put it. I like it better that way. And now I'm gonna score the back side again. And dab on my slip right there. Dab, dab, dab. And now I'm gonna put it in its place and start to smush it down again. And then I'm gonna smooth out this final coil. I'm gonna smooth these or try to push these in together because there's a little bit of an awkward gap. But now I can smooth it all together if that's what you want. You can always carve out those lines again. The top looks a little weird, but just for sake of showing, now I have the top part connected. So this is the top part of my cactus. I still need to do the base. I'm gonna do it separately. You wanna break it up into section by section so that way you're not overwhelmed by connecting this huge long coil together. So I'll probably do the base next and make these straight coils, and then I'm gonna do the arms last because I still have to figure out how to attach it here. Okay, so I just showed you how to attach 4 different coils. Hopefully that was enough for you to be able to figure out how to do it for your project.